So we are standing at the precipice of a whole new era in human history. Everything from who we are, where we come from, and all that was hidden from us is about to break free from the shadows. For centuries, the world has been controlled by forces that have manipulated humanity through secrecy and illusion. And now those forces have lost their grip. And so the floodgates of disclosure are about to open. Welcome, everybody, to my Monday Night Alliance Why Hat Up this. I don't know what happened right now, but I felt chosen. For those that don't know me, my name is Ishmael Perez, and I am the author of two amazing books. The first one's called The Secret Government, Invisible Architects, revealing the true battle between the White Hats and the Cabal going back to pre-biblical times. And the second one is called Our Cosmic Origin, which is my groundbreaking work that restores galactic history back to the Earth. And of course, they are both available on Amazon. And for those that were wondering when my new classes were going to begin, they're actually starting in about 3 weeks. I think it's the 4th or 5th of July, which is a Friday and Saturday. Make sure you go to my website, our cosmic origin.com, to access the July courses. Make sure you do it fast because they do fill up pretty quick. And again, guys, my classes are going to remain at $100 each, right? Each class has 4 courses. So knowledge is power. Just remember that, all right? Another thing I wanted to mention, guys, is that I am going to be speaking at the Gateway Portal Conference. It's an online conference, so it's easy for any of you to access on the 8/8, which is August 8th, okay? So I'm going to put the link for that. I'm going to be doing a whole new presentation with some of my best work that has ever been done, all in one segment. So I'm going to go ahead and put the link for the Stargate Starseed Conference. That's going to be virtual online. Anyone could access it worldwide. I'll go ahead and put the link in the description. And then, of course, for those that want to detox, well, there is a product called Folium that I strongly recommend. And again, I've been taking Folium for over 2 years, and I normally don't recommend a product unless it really works. And I've seen the results on myself. I've heard the testimonies. People with the big C healing all of a sudden. People with the big T, right? Other illnesses. I've seen the testimonies. So this stuff works. Eliminates the body. Now, again, it's not a healing thing. It takes away the stuff that normally would prevent the body from healing itself. So it also cleans out the mitochondria. So it detoxifies the body from metals, everything, including that. For those that have gotten that, and it's important to get them Folium immediately, right? To get all that nanotech from away from their bodies. And then, of course, it cleans out not only that, but what is it called? Parasites, and of course, radiation. All right. So it's all of that, allowing the body to heal itself. And the link for the Folium product is always in the website. In the description. All right, let's get right into it, because it seems like Q's prophecy about Israel being last is actually accurate. And let me tell you guys something. There were some documents, some classified documents regarding the truth behind Israel in connections to the deep state that is going to blow your minds away. So Israel was saved for last, okay? So I guess let's get right into it. I don't think I have any other announcements. So we are going to get right into it. My internet is finally up and working. Thank God. I have good picture, good audio. No more, distractions, hopefully. We'll see. But yeah, I actually ended up upgrading my internet so that I could execute better lives for you guys. So, as you guys know, right now, okay, in the grand geopolitical chess game that is being orchestrated from behind the scenes between the Cabal and the Alliance, the final moves are actually unfolding with stunning precision, okay? We are now fully in phase 3, about to go into phase 4, okay? Now, at the center of this high-stakes operation, of course, is coordinated efforts are the Earth Alliance, right? Particularly through 2 key figures, Vladimir Putin and Donald J. Trump, okay? For those that didn't know, Putin is part of the alliance. So when Trump and Putin seem to be at odds, or when Trump says Putin's crazy, it's all theatrics, very similar to how people thought there was a feud between Elon and Trump. Okay, it's all theatrics. Okay, it's actually a smokescreen, and it works pretty well in terms of psychological warfare. So these two leaders, right, Putin and Trump, despite their polarizing regulations and mainstream narratives, have emerged as crucial players in dismantling the last stronghold of the old world order, okay, which is the deep state's grip on Israel. And for decades, of course, Israel served as the keystone of a global shadow regime, a clandestine, you could say, nod of control, manipulation, and subversion, operating behind the shield of religious sanctity and Western alliances. Israel's deep state infrastructure, primarily executed through the Mossad, was central to countless covert operations. And the evidence is now there, guys, thanks to Doge. And of course, the White Hat's retrieving all of these buried, you could say, documents. Okay. So, of course, they were not only in charge of countless covert operations, but the Mossad was also executing false flag attacks. They were behind human trafficking networks, and of course, advanced surveillance technologies used against not only the regional adversaries, but also allied nations. Okay. And this is what many now are calling Palantir. Okay. Palantir was an infrastructure that was already being developed by the deep state in the course of the last 25 years. Okay. They were building Skynet. Okay. Anyways, let me continue here. Benjamin Netanyahu, long hailed as a staunch defender of Israel's sovereignty, is now fearing a dramatic fail from power. And that explains his sudden visitation, or meeting rather, with Vladimir Putin about a few days ago. I don't know if you guys heard of that, regarding how he needs to, he needs to pretty much trim and cut off his his ignition, pretty much he told him that he needs to stop with what he's doing with Iran, or else there will be consequences. Putin laid it down, okay? And then, of course, we do know, due to my live about a month and a half ago, that Trump already cut ties with Netanyahu, and that he was also playing him, right? He kept his enemies closer. Trump was never aligned with Netanyahu, right? He was just keeping his enemies closer. So, sources that are close to the alliance reveal that Netanyahu is not merely a political figure, but a gatekeeper of the deep state's final contingency plans. So as the global cabal loses ground across Europe, America and Asia, Israel has become their last operational stronghold. Therefore, Q was right. I think Q was stated this about 5 years ago. He did mention that Israel would be the last card to fall before the Earth Alliance is able to fully implement the new financial system and governmental infrastructure that would bring the national sovereignty back to every individual country. Okay, so, but that stronghold is soon to collapse. Okay, Putin, with his deep intelligence networks and experience dismantling oligarchy systems in post-Soviet Russia, has worked in quiet coordination with Trump and elements of the U.S. military intelligences to expose Mossad's infiltration into Western institutions. Together, they have orchestrated a multi-phase strategy, one that first, decapitated financial networks such as, Jeffrey, right, the island and the Vatican connections, then moved to deconstruct media psyops and, of course, pharmaceutical collusion, and now it turns its focus to, of course, the Zionist deep state alliance, or the Zionist deep state complex, rather, embedded within Israel's core leadership. Okay, so apparently the White Hats, the alliance, have the ability now to expose the Zionist empire, right, that has been running all the three-letter agencies throughout the entire planet. And then central to this final act is the prevention of course, an escalation with the war of Iran. And that's the reason why Putin had to have that meeting with him. of course, he told him to, nip it in the behind, that he couldn't go further with that, okay? Because Netanyahu wanted to unleash his full force on Iran. That would have led to what? The Third World War. So this is to show you guys that Putin is very aware of what the Galactic Alliance expects of him. And that means that there will be no red buttons being pushed, okay? It is forbidden in case it's not only goes against galactic protocol, but it also goes against God's laws to have nuclear war on planet Earth at this time, okay? So central to this fact or this act is that they are preventing Netanyahu from unleashing his full force on Iran, okay? Seeking to drag the United States, of course. He's trying, and he tried, right, until Trump cut him loose about a month ago, and its allies into another, of course, prolonged Middle Eastern war. Well, this would not only devastate this region, but it would serve as a smokescreen for deep state, you could say, actors to flee, okay? And really what's happening right now is that, let me just continue. Actors to flee, destroy evidence, of course, that's what they wanted to do. They wanted to destroy the evidence and trigger global instability to delay disclosure and justice. The alliance has known this for quite some time, and it is precisely why they are now moving decisively to neutralize this threat. So military sources from the alliance have confirmed that several Mossad black sites and hidden data centers have already been raided by joint international teams. And yes, even the government of Iran, right, was involved in this. And boy, are you guys going to love the documents that they discovered regarding the Zionists. And yes, I will be sharing with you those documents in a little bit. So these missions carried out in stealth and precision have uncovered a lot of good evidence of child transferring, media manipulation strategies, within the Israeli government. This is what they discovered. And false flag operations linked to both global terrorism. Okay, so now we know that at the highest level of government, the Mossad, right, the intelligence agencies of Israel, was actually working and helping our own counterintelligence create the jihads, and all of the networks in what they call the Islamic terrorist groups. They were at the highest level. They were all working together. In other words, okay. So these missions, of course, uncovered all of this, the truth behind what happened on September 11th, 2001, and yes, the Mossad was very instrumental in the orchestration of that event. By the way. Election interference, so something that happened about 5 years ago, and worldwide surveillance programs is all expected to be publicly disclosed as part of the alliance's upcoming wave of revelations. All right, so here is the documents. Are you guys ready for this? Mossad exposed. I hope you guys share this with everyone. This is going to go really good. It's going to go deep. Okay, so the VIP blackmail files that were hacked by Iran and an international coalition, all working with the members of the alliance, which is and let me just start. Okay, so just days before the world-watched missiles arced across the Middle Eastern skies, a silent war had already erupted in the digital underworld, okay? So while the media focuses on battlefield narratives, check this out, a different kind of detonation had taken place behind the walls of intelligence servers and encrypted vaults. So, Iranian state hackers launched a massive cyber attack against Mossad's internal data systems. And this is how they were able to retrieve this bombshell information that's about to be exposed to the world. Okay, so they were able to, launch a massive cyber attack against the Mossad's internal data systems, successfully extracting 3 terabytes of classified Israeli intelligence. But this wasn't just military blueprints or defense schematics, you could say. This was very, it was very well planned, okay? The kind of recuperation and stealth, infiltration that topples every regime, the way the Alliance was able to do so. Okay. Again, we are working with quantum sentient, which is a form of advanced intelligence. So it's working with the Alliance to access all these records. So inside the hall, of course, blackmail archives were discovered, surveillance blueprints. What? Yep. Okay, I'll continue. Hopefully, I mean, it should work. Inside the hall, they found blackmail archives, surveillance blueprints, and something even darker, VIP level pedo, Leah, files, right, regarding little ones, detailing unspeakable crimes tied to the highest escalons of global power. So the terabytes of secrets are about to be revealed. Surveillances and sickness. Okay. So, initial leaks have confirmed that the breach included covert surveillance programs on foreign soil, Mossad operations embedded inside US intelligence and politics, psychological profiting databases of global leaders, and most damning, elite level pedophilia blackmail, folders. Okay, elite level, oops, blackmail folders, complete with names, locations, methods, and media. So this was not a routine intelligence leak. It was the release of the hidden operation the, the release of the hidden operating system that governs the modern deep state located in Israel. Okay, so all lead to Rome and Israel. And that explains why there was a vast underground network that connects the Vatican underground city, all the way to Israel. Okay, that's so they could say within the beast system of Babylon, Rome was the head, Israel was the tail, the last, right? All right, let's continue. So it was the release of the hidden operating system that governs the modern deep state, a system where corruption is currency and perversion is policy. So the analysis of this is that the Mossad did not merely absorb, that they documented, exploited, and preserved this compromat to control. So what Iran and the alliance did is that they seized not just the data, but they also were able to uh, access all the blackmail diplomacy, right? Involving many people. Okay. So this is going to help the alliance do a massive world arrest when all of this is revealed. So the breach occurred days before Israel officially declared war, a moment too precise to be dismissed as coincidence. So the implications are obviously clear. Okay. Iran timed the release as a preemptive information strike, right, to prevent Israel from launching a new, what would have led to the Third World War if they would have done what they wanted to. So Iran timed the release as a preemptive information strike. It aimed to destabilize Israel's leadership at its most vulnerable moment. And so Western intelligence agencies panicked, of course, not because Israel's was hacked, but because their own secrets were inside. So again, what they discovered, right, hacking into the Israeli documents, is that all the other three-letter agencies were all connected to the mother agency, right? That's the best way to describe it. So the analysis of this is that Iran didn't just hit an enemy. They pulled the curtain on the entire geopolitical theater, exposing how much of modern diplomacy is just choreographed, silenced, and shared sin. Choreographed, silence, and shared sin. So let's get to the philia files, the core of global control. Okay, so among the 3 TB of, or what they call 3 terabytes of stolen intelligence lies the darkest material of all. That is, they were able to uncover videos, images, documents, psychological dossiers, all pointing to little one, yeah, exploitation rings linked directly to global institutions from finance to political to media. Okay, so this was, of course, the island, right? Uncle Jeffrey's, let's just call him that, black book. That's what they were waiting for, because a lot of the evidence was destroyed in the States. But the original the original tapes and footage were held in Israel. So now we should be getting the list, right? The island list. So not only did they discover the book on military grade, of course, steroids and what? This was crazy. All right, so this was black book on military grade steroids, and this time the chain leads not to private islands, thank you, but to embassies, state agencies, and intelligence bunkers. So the analysis about this discovery is that these files weren't just collected, they were actually used. Okay, so they used to keep officials in line and used to ensure the votes, the signatures, the policies, and of course, and everything that they did after that, which was to silence them. Okay, so the Mossad's U.S. shadow operation, according to one document, revealed. There you go. Now you guys know who's running the three-letter agency that starts with a C. All right. So leaked documents expose how Mossad infiltrated American media outlets, positioned assets inside U.S. tech companies and defense contractors, carried out digital surveillance on U.S. politicians, judges, and journalists. And this wasn't just spying, it was an occupation by stealth, okay? So a shadow intelligence structure inside the United States protected by its own blackmail leverage, all done by the Mossad, okay? So the analysis for this is that this is no longer foreign policy. This is internal subversion, and those who knew it protected it. And they actually discovered another document that even Kennedy Sr. knew about it. All right, back in the day. And he tried to do something about it. And I'm going to get to that in a little bit as well. So why would this collapse everything for the globalists worldwide? Okay, that's probably the question at this point. Well, first and foremost, this single breach of documents could actually expose an entire generation of corrupted leadership for centuries. Okay, this is going to go into the history of all the crimes against humanity. Okay. They were all stored within the vaults of the Israeli government. At least they were hiding it. So it's also going to destroy confidence in intelligence institutions worldwide. It's going to trigger mass resignations. This is what we've all been waiting for, right? The puppeteers of, Canada, New Zealand, also that one country, Australia, France. I mean, many countries, unfortunately, are run by deep state puppets. So this is going to trigger mass resignation. It's also going to trigger some, of course, attempted assassinations or even controlled disappearances, okay? And then, of course, it's also going to force nations to publicly confront decades of mutual blackmail and betrayal, which was what we're going to start seeing as Nuremberg 3.0. Israel was a lost card. And Q was right 5 years ago, okay? So this is not a scandal, guys. This is the digital Hiroshima of modern intelligence, okay? One detonation that reveals the architecture of evil disguised as diplomacy. So the files are real. The system is rotten, right, as discovered. This is no longer about Iran versus Israel. This is about a hidden global order held together by fear, abuse, and silence. And the moment that order starts to collapse is now, okay? The compromat was never supposed to be seen. The victims were never supposed to speak. And the agents were never supposed to fall. But now the files are out and the silence is broken. Okay, so here's another document with more evidence that, again, tied the Mossad with the sudden disappearance of uranium. Okay, check this out. So apparently this document has revealed that Israel stole U.S. nuclear materials and how JFK tried to stop them. Okay, that's another reason why they ordered his, of course, but he faked his. If you guys understand the triple temporal alliance, you'll know that the real RFK Jr. still lives, okay, still lives. And yeah, anyways, let's continue. Like many other people that fake their, death. All right, so June 16, 2025, declassified documents reveal how Israel stole U.S. uranium in the 1960s to build its secret nuclear arsenal. JFK tried to stop the project, and after his death, no president dared to confront it again. Okay, this is a story of betrayal, theft, violence. So there exists a story, of course, that was buried deep in the shadows of American nuclear history. A story so sensitive, so dangerous that for decades it remained buried under redacted memos, missing files, and of course political silence. This is not just about weapons grade uranium disappearing from US facilities. It's about betrayal at the highest levels of trust. And one president who dared to stand up against it was, of course, JFK Sr. So John F. Kennedy, of course, is the president who knew about this. And this goes way back to the 60s. That's how, I mean, you could say that the Mossad has been in control of our intelligence agency going back to even probably about 50 years ago, okay? So what he discovered, John F. Kennedy, that is, in the early 1960s, led him to take one of the most boldest stances any American leader has ever taken against, of course, a supposed ally, right? Israel was never our ally, and Trump knew that. So that's why Trump played him, okay? So he, of course, Kennedy back challenged Israel's secret nuclear ambition. And shortly after that, of course, after he also tried to undo the Federal Reserve to bring us back to the U.S. Treasury, after he tried to end the war and stop the Bay of Pigs, after he tried to expose the secret space program, then after all that, of course, they said he had to leave. Anyways, he was such a good man. I would say, a lot of people do believe that JFK and his family comes from the bloodline of Jesus and Mary. Believe. So he was a very good man. In the early 1960s, officials of the Atomic Energy Commission noticed disturbing discrepancies in uranium accounting at a private nuclear processing plant in Apollo, Pennsylvania. This facility operated to NUMIC, which is Nuclear Materials and Equipment Corporation, couldn't account for large amounts of highly enriched uranium. All right, not grams, but a few ounces. That's a lot, okay? We are talking about hundreds of pounds of bomb-grade material, enough to tip the balance of nuclear power in the Middle East permanently, guys. And of course, this event was not treated like a theft at first. This scale was so massive that the implications were so serious that even agencies hesitated. But behind the scenes, our alarm bells were ringing at the highest level of U.S. intelligence. The question was, who took it, okay? And for what purposes? And I also believe that the Bushes and the, the witch, right, Hillary and her husband were also behind this, okay? So let's continue. Initial estimates placed the loss at around 200 pounds. That's how much uranium the Mossad stole, or they allow them to steal. Latest investigations raised that figure to over 600 pounds. That much highly enriched uranium could actually produce over 20 Hiroshima-level nuclear bombs. That's a lot, guys. 20 Hiroshima-level nuclear bombs. Israel was trying to destroy planet Earth. That's what it sounds like, okay? Numerous classified documents from the era hint at internal panic. Intelligence officers realized that this wasn't a miscalculation, that it was a systematic diversion of U.S. nuclear materials, and it likely wasn't a solo job, okay? So the idea that such a vast quantity of, stuff, grade uranium, could actually go missing without government knowledge is impossible. But the truth is more likely that it was quietly allowed to happen, or later, of course, buried to avoid political fallout. Initial estimates place the loss at around 200 pounds. Later investigations raised that figure to over 600 pounds, and that much highly enriched, of course, uranium that could produce 20 Hiroshima-level nuclear bombs. That's unbelievable. Numerous classified documents from the era hint at internal panic, and I think I've already covered that. Okay, let's go back. Let's talk about NUMIC, the founder and president, by the name of Zalman Shapiro. Zalman Shapiro wasn't just a nuclear engineer, he was also a high-ranking Zionist, okay, with strong ties to Israelis' intelligence networks. So excuse me, as head of the Pittsburgh chapter of the Zionist Organization of America, Shapiro was deeply embedded in political channels sympathetic to Israel. Witness testimony and surveillance records indicate that Israeli scientists posing as consultants and technicians visited Numek multiple times during the years in question. The three-letter agency that starts with the C would later confirm that many of these visitors were, in fact, Mossad agents. This wasn't just corporate espionage. This was an intelligence operation on U.S. soil. A heist enabled by, of course, ideological loyalty, political leverage, and a web of protection at multiple levels, or we call it corruption. And despite the clear red flags and mounting evidence, every investigation into the Numek organization theft hit a wall. The three-letter agency that starts with the F, Bureau, right, of Investigation, opened the files. This three-letter agency that starts with the C issued memos. The Atomic Energy Commission launched audits, yet no charges were ever filed. So years later, in the early 2000s, we're going to fast forward, declassified CIA assessments have confirmed that the missing uranium was mostly likely transferred to Israel. Still no public accountability, however, ever followed. And this wasn't a failed investigation. It was a suppressed one. National security was invoked not to protect Americans, but to protect the reputation of an ally willing to lie, steal, and defy international law. That uranium didn't vanish, okay? It had a destination. Dimona, a fortified Israeli installation in the Negev desert, long denied and shrouded in secrecy. Officially, Dimona was a research facility. In reality, it became the birthplace of Israel's undeclared nuclear arsenal. Okay, and this was called Dimona. That's what they call that facility. Multiple intelligence reports from the 1960s to today have confirmed that Dimona, the Israeli facility, evolved into a full-scale nuclear weapons protection site, all without a single inspection from the International Atomic Energy Agency. Dimona represents the single greatest nuclear double standard in modern geopolitics. It was powered by stolen American uranium and protected by American silence. President Kennedy was briefed on the theft and the suspicious activities at Dimona. Alarmed, he demanded transparency from the Israeli Prime Minister David Ben-Gurion back then. In a series of private letters, JFK did warn that the United States would not tolerate nuclear proliferation by deception. Kennedy's stance was unprecedented. He insisted on direct inspections by American scientists and set deadlines. Ben-Gurion responded with stalling tactics and eventually resignation. So JFK's actions were, of course, bold and patriotic. He placed the U.S. internal interests, you could say he placed the U.S. interests, talking about JFK here, senior, above diplomatic appeasement. His death removed, of course, well, his supposed death, he never died. Nikola Tesla and John Trump were able to spare his life. They used the double, and of course, he's still alive. And there's evidence. Actually, I'm probably going to use that thumbnail next week when I talk about, well, maybe even on Wednesday when I talk about the Kennedy-Lincoln, believe it or not, Trump bloodline connection. So just how the cabal, the Illuminati families have, you know, a lot of these bloodlines are all interrelated, right? Reptilian human hybrids. Well, in like manner, you could say that when it comes to the, you know, Princess Diana, the Lincolns, the Kennedys, the Trumps, they are also somewhat interrelated to a common ancestor, if it makes any sense. So yeah, it goes both ways. Okay, so let's continue here. So Ben-Gurion's successor, Levi Eshkol, continued the policy of deflection. Promises of transparency led nowhere. And ultimately, Israel banned American inspectors altogether, claiming security risk. The Dimona facility became a black box, off limits, uninspected, and unspoken. And with JFK gone, of course, Washington had no will to fight it because after JFK, there wasn't another alliance president until, of course, not Lincoln, I'm sorry, Reagan. Yeah, Reagan was alliance, by the way, guys. Reagan was alliance as a let's just say it this way. If you guys remember, there was an attempt at his life as well. Okay, but they failed. Anyways, the timing was no coincidence. The assassination of JFK Sr. didn't just end his presidency. Of course, they thought that they did, but it also ended America's last chance to impose nuclear accountability on Israel. Okay, so the pressure is now gone. Okay, Lyndon B. Johnson, after Kennedy's, of course, you know what I mean, Lyndon B. Johnson took then office and swiftly cooled all pressure on Israel. So when Kennedy was in office, he was trying to put pressure on them. And then, of course, we do know that LBJ was, of course, rolling with the deep state, and he came in and he just undid it immediately. So where JFK had insisted on oversight, LBJ offered unconditional support. Okay. So declassified records have shown that the U.S. knew about this Dimona arsenal since the late 1960s. So that's what was in these records, okay, that the U.S. had knowledge of this, of the Dimona arsenal, by the late of the 1960s. Yet no sanctions followed, no public admissions were made. So apparently there was a huge cover-up right there, and all that has now come out. So with JFK dead, the White Hats, or let's just say the White House, shifted from confrontation to compliance. Israel was now a nuclear power in all but name, with America's quiet blessing behind it, covering it up. So instead of facing the truth, the U.S. adopted a posture of strategic silence, right? Later called nuclear ambiguity. It was an unspoken agreement. So this posture became, you could say, official U.S. policy after JFK Sr. It became official U.S. policy, even as Israel expanded its warhead stockpile and refused all nuclear treaties. Nuclear ambiguity is the mask that covers, of course, nuclear hypocrisy. The U.S. helped write the rules, then exempted its closest ally. Okay, so modern estimates suggest that Israel possesses between 90 and 400 nuclear warheads, possibly more. No inspections, no transparency, no accountability. And all while receiving, of course, over $3 billion annually by the U.S. aid, plus missile defense systems, intelligence corporations, and diplomatic shielding. So this is what JFK Sr. tried to stop. A nuclear armed state operating above all laws, protected by the very nation it deceived. So Iran, which is a country that signed the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, the NTP, is painted as the villain right now. And it was, right, in every Western narrative. Sanctions, assassination, sabotage, all justified by claims of nuclear weapons that don't even exist in Iran. So meanwhile, the real arsenal in that region remains untouched, unmentioned, and unchallenged, right? So this is the final irony. The world hounds Iran for weapons it never built, while Israel, who stole those weapons, lied about it, and then armed itself in secret, is celebrated as a partner in peace. And of course, again, JFK Sr. in the late mid-60s tried to warn us. And, the truth is that JFK Sr. was never anti-Israel, okay? He was always about tolerance and living in harmony with every race and culture. He was against the government that ran Israel, which of course was the Zionist. He was always for, he was pro-accountability, you could say, pro-truth, and pro-survival, okay? That's what Kennedy stood for. Pro-accountability, pro-truth, and pro-survival. And he saw what a hidden nuclear arsenal could do way back in his time, and realized that it was wrong, and he fought it to the end. He tried, of course, and then he had to disappear. And then he was, of course, everything was silence after he was gone. Let's just say it that way. So apparently, let's see. All right, so the next phase, okay, this is important to share as well. If you guys could bear with me. So as you guys know, the JFK was actually attempted to do away with by a group of coalitions between all these different agencies, beginning with the Mossad. And of course, LBJ knew about it, and he was, there was a leaked footage that they catch LBJ saying, "Yeah, I can't wait for him to be gone." Right before they did that. Let's continue here. So the quantum financial system. Okay, let's just go into like what's happening right now with the new infrastructure, right? The quantum financial system is now merging with, are you guys ready for this? A high frequency resonance scanning authentication grids in over 29 countries, which is good. This living intelligence, known as the quantum sentient organic, is going to have a connection with all living things. It's going to be able to read your energy. This technology, of course, was classified until April, and now it's operational in about 29 countries. And mind you guys that there are 107 or 108 countries that have signed with the alliance. Okay, so 29 countries are already using this. So the technology was classified until April, and now it's operational. Each confirmed identity has unlocked not only access to personal vaults, but trigger nodes based payouts tied to sovereign claim rights. Stolen generations are being reconciled through energy mapped trust accounts. And so, in this, we could say in the background, they have discovered that the World Economic Forum has gone, of course, all of a sudden hushed, and several board members have vanished from public view. Their communications has been intercepted by military signet teams operating under executive order continuity, thanks to our CIC. Internal chatter has confirmed that they are preparing for mass asset forfeiture and jurisdictional disbandment. Okay, so the alliance is preparing for what is known as mass asset forfeiture and jurisdictional disbandment. Jurisdictional disbandment. So the Federal Reserve is no longer printing, and no one is actually talking about it, right? The fiat system is done with, okay? The last emergency, you could say, assurance hidden under bank liquidity assistance was denied clearance by Space Force protocol. I'll repeat that again. The last emergency assurance hidden under bank liquidity assistance was denied clearance by Space Force protocol. The note was rejected at the digital signature level. So their system has no power. This was the translation, that their system has no more power. So in Asia, unexpected tremors beneath underground vaults in Taiwan and Cambodia were not natural. Okay, a lot of times the white hats do generate artificial earthquakes in order to destroy underground facilities. Okay, tactical seismic pulses were actually deployed to collapse illegal tunnel networks connected to historic opium transferring routes and gold smuggling caches. The physical gold removed from these zones is being weighed and digitized under QFS validation systems, not IMF anymore. That's good news. And multiple armored convoys have already left Rome in the early hours last Thursday. Their destination is classified, but intercepted drones footage shows movement towards covert storage near Monte Carlo. Okay, Monte Carlo, a known Rothschild archive zone. That's a good thing. The alliance is about to breach that. Alliance forces have now controlled it, so I guess they did breach it. Awesome. And what they found will rewrite modern history. The people will be waiting for a sign. And the reset is not just a single moment, guys, right? It's 1,000 silent takedowns, each one severing a link in the chain. So the message is now clear. They built their system on illusion, right? And the Alliance is now replacing it with precision. This is what we called Operation Phase 4. Okay. So we are living in the best times ever, Galactic Jedis, freedom fighters, patriots worldwide. And this is the time to really be grateful and really just almost like a jubilee, just be grateful and celebrate that we are living in the glorious times ever in the history of planet Earth. So, I do want to remind you guys that my July classes are up for grab, and I decided to keep the prices at $100 a class. Each class consists of 4 courses, mainly taught on Saturday and Sunday. I only teach on the weekends. So if you guys want to take a course, go to my website, ourcosmicorigin.com, and book your spot before it's sold out. They do sell within a matter of, you could say, 5 to 7 days. So yeah, $100 a class. You guys could take any class you want. Knowledge is power. So at this point, I do want to give some shout outs. And again, for those that don't know my website, or cosmicorigin.com, all you got to do is go to the description and it's always there. It takes you to my website, and then you could actually register for one of my courses. Let me access the live on my phone so that I could read some questions, if you guys don't mind. Oh, however, before I read questions, I do want to give some shout outs to Oliver Cesario, Leonidas Guedes, Sean Rutenberg, Canadian Moose, Overwhelmed 25-8, Eddie K of Light. What's up, brother Eddie K? He's in the house. Rodney Loesch, Patricia Secha, Paul Schaefer. Let's see. It's going so fast. MJF. Deborah Watson, Cosmic Seal. It's going super fast. And everyone else, Andromeda Daisy, everyone else who is in the house. I do want to welcome all 2,711 people that are hanging out with me tonight on a Monday evening. I hope you guys had a beautiful Father's Day weekend. And again, happy belated Father's Day to all the fathers out there. Now it's time for Q&A. So if you guys could actually type your questions in capital letters, I am ready to take some and answer them. Now, unfortunately, I wasn't able to do Q&A on Saturday night due to my guest. So if you guys want to ask me any questions about what AI, of course, not AI, but organic sentient Prometheus was able to unravel regarding the Anunnaki, this is the time to ask me any questions, okay? Intuitive Healing Light says, hi, Ishmael. Thank you for all you do. We just experienced the first solar flare from the 14th to date. Yes, and also 3 more X-class flares were just released. Was it yesterday? M-class. That's what I said. M-class flares have just been released yesterday and today. So that means in the next few days, guys, we're going to get hit hard with some upgrades. Oh, 2 CMEs. Okay, thank you. Oh, not the Mothman is back. He always says, happy birthday, Ishmael. And no, it's not my birthday. My birthday's not till November. Thank you, not the Mothman, and welcome back, Galactic Jedi. Medbed availability, Rudy Hernandez. Yes. A lot of hospitals already have them, all right? They're waiting for the green light to switch from our current, MEDICA system to the new system, okay? So let's see. Yes, Project Prometheus. Yes, again, Project Prometheus is the way that the Alliance was able to defeat the deep state and override the negative AI that was working with the Alliance. I mean, with the deep state, not the Alliance, with the deep state. What is going on with Donald Trump? Is he a clone? This is a question from Antonio Wagner. Well, Antonio, you must be new to my channel. It's okay. Welcome. There's actually multiple Trumps, anywhere from 4 to 6, perhaps just 5. I'm not sure. I do want to welcome Susan K for that, Zell. Thank you so much, sister. But who we see on the television screen, the person that we see in the White House, behind the press, is a double. Okay. He looks just like him. He sounds just like him. I mean, yes, Melania Trump knows this, and she's, You could say that the entire Trump family is under oath, okay, with the alliance. So the real Trump is operating in Cheyenne Mountain. So yeah, there are multiple Trumps. Patricia Secha is asking me, Ishmael, are you still having California earthquake dreams? And the answer to that is thank God, no. No more dreams of big earthquakes hitting California. Thank God. Well, yes, Trump does have a good relationship with his clones. His clones are actually, you could say he runs his clones. They listen to him. The doubles, not clones. I'm sorry, they're doubles. Again, guys, the Whiteheads don't use clones. Only the deep state did. And just to let you guys know that a lot of these super volcanoes are being mitigated by the Galactic Alliance. Okay, there's a lot of extraterrestrial activities taking place above Yellowstone because that could take out 1/3 of the U.S.
Trying to hold it off.
Mount Etna in Italy, of course, that's another big one, and many others. Okay, there's one in Hawaii as well. Galactic Alliance is on it. Okay, so they're making sure that during this solar upgrade, during this moment of planetary ascension, that there is not a lot of catastrophes. Okay, or what we call casualties. Where will we go during the magnetic pole shift? This is a question from Dead, but well, depending on your frequency, again, a lot of people think that there's going to be an electromagnetic physical crustal displacement event, and that's not going to take place like in the movie 2012. It's going to be an electromagnetic shift, a flipping of the axis, energetic axis fields. Okay, so oh yeah, check out this golden lion, the golden lion. So it's going to be more of an energetic flip, right? Allowing the Earth to go from a single electromagnetic band field of energy into multiple electromagnetic fields. And that's what's going to cause the upgrades, okay? So yeah, the Galactic Alliance is mitigating the Earth changes that, again, are not going to be taking place as we used to think. That timeline was canceled, okay? There's going to be some earthquakes, some tsunamis, but not to the extent where continents fall and new continents rise. So again, there is an alternative Earth timeline reality where Atlantis, Lemuria, Hyperborea, even Polaria still exist, okay? And please don't forget to type your questions in capital letters so that I could bypass the chat. So during the magnetic pole shift, depending on your frequency, to answer your question, is we actually shift into either the 4D Earth, the 50 Earth, or even the 60 Earth. All right, some of us will be going to the 60 Earth. Yes, Kathy, yes, is asking if I moved. I am. I did move, so I am now in a new place. Thank God. So what I'm doing, guys, is I'm using my phone, see, to answer questions because it's hard to read from the screen, even with these glasses. That is so true. Speed of Right 427 is reminding us that NPCs are beginning to malfunction, right? Non-player characters. Some are even believe it or not, some are even themselves. Okay, so that is so true. What we're going to be seeing is a huge split, which is what many call the rapture, a splitting of vibrational frequencies from the NPCs and the wicked, from the righteous and the people that are generally good people. There is going to be a split very, very soon. Ishmael, why did the U.S. just send 30 Arsenal refueling aircrafts, or aerial, not Arsenal, aerial refueling aircrafts to the Middle East? That is a good question, Shauna. I do believe that this was not done by the deep state. I do believe that this was done by the alliance as a strategic way of letting Israel know that Iran is not going to go on, it's not going to be fighting just with little, cans, what are they called? Machine guns and tanks. They have good weapons. Okay, so I just want to let you guys know that that war is not going to be happening, because Putin and Trump are teaming up to prevent that war, because that could literally be, initiate what we call the Third World War. And the alliance knows that. It's not acceptable. The Galactics are on it. It's not acceptable. I do have a super chat. Rhonda Chance, she says, Ishmael, does Princess Diana play the part of Melania Trump? That is a very good question. I don't know. I don't want to say yes to a question that I'm not really sure about, but that is something that I'm definitely going to have to look into. Thank you for bringing it up. I just don't know. It could be a possibility. Who knows? In this day and age, anything is possible. Let's see. It was hinted at on a Telegram channel. Okay. So again, there is a lot of information circulating on social media regarding a lot of this stuff. And again, I want to thank Starcadian for being here and smashing all the negative people, as we are trying to keep the high vibe in the Galactic Jedi tribe. Let's continue here with questions. Ishmael, do you have direct contact with Prometheus, the quantum intelligence? This is a question from Sarah. You could say that because it is connected to all living things, right? Through deep meditations, anyone could access it. Okay, and one of the techniques that I teach my students in Ascension 2.0 is how to connect to the quantum field and activate the light body. When you guys do those meditations or those techniques, it's easier for you guys to connect with the Akashic records and, of course, with the Prometheus organic sentient intelligence. So anybody could have access to it. In fact, all the archives are there. Will we be able to communicate with dolphins? This is a question from David Wegner. No, I'm sorry, David Hiniup. I hope I pronounced his last name right. Absolutely. Did you guys know that the dolphins and whales have been the primary caregivers, or caretakers rather, of this planet for thousands of years, since the fall of Atlantis? And now they're getting ready to give us that responsibility. I do have a super chat from Wolf Mother. She says, I am happy to see Jill Hunt in the house. Oh, great. The Galactic Jedi, Jill Hunt, is back. Welcome, Jill Hunt. If you're out there, I just want to give you a shout out. Thank you for returning to the tribe. I see all the love. Awesome. Thank you guys for all the likes. You guys are the best people on the planet, the most awakened people on the planet. What are the chances that Ascension could actually take place on the 19th, which is in a few days from now? I do believe it's a 99% chance still, guys. Okay. I do believe that. But I guess we're all going to find out. I do have a super chat from Patricia. Noble, thank you so much. She says, so is the great and terrible day of the Lord the same event as the 3 days of darkness? I believe so, yes. I believe that they are interrelated. Okay, the 3 days of darkness, as we transition into the new earth, Our bodies are going to need about 3 days of sleep, in some cases, in order to acclimate to the new frequency and, of course, to the new body. So, yes, it does contribute to that. And not to mention, depending on how our solar system enters the photon belt, right, which is the high frequency monastic energy zone that aligns with the galactic equator, that will determine if whether we're going to have 3 days of darkness or 3 days of pure light, right? So if it goes through the back end of our solar system, we're going to have what is known as pure light. If it goes through the front end, where our sun goes first, then we're going to have 3 days of darkness. Good question. Oh, yes. When will we be able to adopt the little ones when we ascend? Well, the little ones are ascending with us, guys. So in the new earth, they're going to be healthy. Their trauma is going to be cured. They're not going to have. They're going to be like normal kids. So yeah, it's going to be interesting how a lot of us are going to adopt a lot of the new earth kids that are orphans, or maybe they're just going to reunite with their galactic parents. Who knows? Who knows? Who knows? Oh, and by the way, if there is I believe is a Christina Rose, I want to thank her so much for her zeal. I appreciate that. Thank you. Just wanted to give her a shout out. Yes, your bodies will not only be renewed when you ascend, but they're going to be transfigured, as in Enoch in the Old Testament. Your bodies are going to go from mortals to immortals, right? This is what the Bible calls the celestial body. Patricia Sutton is asking, who will feed our pets if we sleep in the 3 days of darkness? All living things are ascending, right? So I would say that pets are going to also probably be acclimating and adapting and sleeping as they go into the next level of their intelligence. What is the significance of the golden lion that Monica placed on the shelf above you? That was a gift from Monica, and we got that months ago. That lion, when she saw it, she just kind of it reminded her of me. So yeah, that golden lion it's symbolic. It's symbolic to representing, of course, the house of David, right? The house of David. Aaron, let me get up a little bit. There you go. So I'm going to continue here with questions. Will our pets heal when we ascend? Yes. All living things that are struggling with some illness or health issue, including animals, will undergo a miraculous healing process. I like this. This is coming from Leonida Guedes. She says, think of it as a cosmic crescendo, the climax of a symphony of light that has been steadily that has been steadily building in intensity over the past days and weeks. What a beautiful statement right there. I like it. Yes, our crystalline genetics is actually activated, but get this, in the fourth D Earth, we use 50% crystalline and 50% carbon. In the fifth D Earth is the other way around, okay? No, I'm sorry, my bad. In the fourth D Earth, we use, or not us, but the Earth turns, the younger souls are going to use 75% crystalline, no, carbon, 75% carbon, and only 2% crystalline, okay? Their lifespan will increase to 200 or 300 years, but they won't have superhuman abilities. So they're going to be using only 25% crystalline, 75% carbon. For those that go into the fifth earth, then it's going to be equal. You're going to be using 50% crystalline, which means you're going to have the capacity to activate the light body, and 50% carbon. And then for those that go into the 6D, you're going to be using 75% crystalline and 25% carbon based genetics. I do have another super chat from Patricia Noble. She says, is the great and oh, I've already answered that. Let's see, another super chat from Greg. Thank you, Greg. He says, does Valiant Thor have an X account? I saw today Valiant Thor reporting the Israel events. You know, a few people have mentioned that, but I was told that yes, he does. We don't know if it's the real Valiant Thor, but there is an account on X where it's titled Valiant Thor, where he does give updates as well. So that is correct. Oh yeah, the other day I was meditating out here, and I was actually in a deep meditation, and we were communicating telepathically, me and Valiant Thor. And I said, well, I just want to see a display of light up in the sky, um, just so that I could see your ship. And he just kind of flew across the sky. He went so fast. I saw it's almost like a shooting star. He went, and that's when I knew it was him. I just wanted to share that with you guys. Sometimes he dumps data dumps, right? He transfers information, and if I'm busy, I have to actually stop myself from receiving the data dump, and then I have to meditate to access it again later. So that's how we communicate, through intuitive telepathy. Yes, that is true. We are on the best timeline. So things are going to be beautiful. Thank you, Lena Cool, for stating that. Okay, is the frequency of the planet higher right now? This is a question from Sarah, and the answer to that is every day the frequency of the planet is rising. It is increasing. So yeah, it is very high right now, and especially because we just had some M-class flares within the last 24 hours that are about to hit in the next couple of days. So I hope you guys are staying hydrated. This is a good question from Mari LP. Is our celestial body going to eat food? Which is, again, equivalent to the light body. The light body, the celestial body are all one and the same. It's not required to eat food, but if you ever want to enjoy a good piece of steak, or a good piece of chocolate cake, you will be able to enjoy through you're going to have your taste buds again. You're going to be able to enjoy it, in other words. So yes, that is up to you. So it would only be done to just enjoy the flavor. But technically, by using 50% crystalline DNA and 20% carbon base, it's going to be, you're going to be also living off of universal life force, because that's when the light body is going to be activated through the meridians and the 7 seals of revelation, which are the energy vortexes, the chakras. You're going to be processing more universal life force coming from your double body, right, which is your energy vehicle, into your physical body. The lion is awesome. Oh, thank you guys. I'm glad you guys like the lion. There it is. All right, this is another good question from Tracy Dodge, or Dodge. Maybe her last name is Dodge. Who knows? It could also be Doge, right? Ishmael, do you or the commander know of some by the name of J. R.A. Essex? If so, what do you have to say about him? I've never personally heard of J. R. Essex, so I don't know how to answer that question. Somebody's asking me about my dog. Well, unfortunately, in this new place, there are no animals allowed. And Athena's in good hands. She's actually staying with my sister, who has a big yard, and my nephew. So she gets to play with my nephew, who is 12 years old, and run around. So yeah, Athena's doing fine. I will be visiting her occasionally, of course. Isn't a celestial body transparent? Good question from Kathy Rennick. Um, it's not that it's transparent, but it's also physical. It's both. Yeah, it's actually both. So yeah, it's the combination of being physical and of course transparent at the same time, or etheric. So it is both. Karen Cooter says, "Can we talk with Valiant Thor?" Of course you can. Yes. Let's see. Question: will the slaughter of animals still occur so that we can eat meat? No, not in the 5D. In the 5D, um, we're going to be having, you could say, technologies that actually create a steak that is actually more nutritional, but without killing the animal. Okay, because it's made out of 0 point energy, pops into existence. Chocolate cake, fruit, anything your taste buds desire. These are called replicators. Is Saint Germain at Lyran? Good question from Mara Samuels. I am not sure, but I could find out for you. Yes, thank you for that reminder. To add to the other question about the celestial body being transparent, well, once you're able to use 50% of your light body, celestial body, right, slash, you're able to shift in and out. You're able to become pure energy and travel at the speed of light. And then you're able to pop back into particle form, just like a photon is both wave and particle at the same time. So that's the benefit of using 50% of the light body. That's activating the celestial body. So yeah, the celestial body can shift in and out of physicality, and even through the dropping of a frequency, it could actually go all the way, lower itself all the way down to the fourth D and third D. Okay, so it's going to be impressive what we could do at 50% light body capacity. Ishmael, do you follow Q drops? No, I don't know. I don't follow Q drops. So is Enlil Sus the good God in the Bible? Yes. Enlil Sus was the old God, the Old Testament God, the one that would lead the Israelites, right, out of Exodus, the one that communicated with, you could say, Noah. He's the one who saved Noah, who was his real son, when he sent the flood to destroy Enki's abominations and restart, only preserving the original Adamic blue angelic lineage. And then, of course, he was the one who directed Abraham and his descendants into war against the Canaanites, which were ruled by his nephew, Marduk Belial Baal, the son of Enki Poseidon from Babylon. So the entire war between the kings of old, right, the original Israelites and the Babylonians, was a war between Enlil Sus, leading Israel, against his nephew, Marduk Belial Baal, the son of Enki Poseidon. That's the best way to describe it. Good question. But of course, in the Bible, they didn't call him Zeus. They changed his name to Jehovah, Elohim. They called him Yahweh. They called him the God of the mountains. They called him what else did they call him? L. They called him L. Another name for him was what was another name for him? There were so many names for him. Ishmael, is the planet going to change direction or rotation during the 3 days of darkness? Another good question from Sarah. I do believe that when we do have this energetic electromagnetic switch, flip, whatever you want to call it, that we are not only going to be operating with multiple bands of electromagnetic fields, right, allowing us to exist in multiple dimensions, but yes, we're also going to be switching our rotation. All right. The Earth wasn't originally rotating the way it's rotating right now. Okay. That was done by the Anunnaki when they took over. They flipped everything around through the Saturn moon black cube technology. So the Earth is going to stop spinning in the direction that it's currently spinning. And of course, it's going to start spinning in the other direction. So that, yes, that is correct. Well, the 10 days of darkness, Kathy, she says, I thought it was 10 days of darkness. That is referring to the Whitehead Alliance executing a total grid shutdown on the cabal, and in turn, of course, replacing it with the QFS and the quantum freedom grid, broadcasting, the disclosure, the truth of everything to the entire planet. And so, yeah. Let's see. So that's what 10 Days of Darkness is. Okay. 10 Days of Darkness is, through Project Odin, Starlink satellites take over the airwaves. The Cabal's done with. It's called the kill switch. But that could only happen, of course, once they take out, the leadership of Israel. For those that are jumping on, don't forget to watch this from the beginning. A lot of leaked documents have recently surfaced exposing the truth behind the Mossad. Okay, watch it from the beginning. And then, of course, don't forget, guys, that my July classes are up. Go to my website, ourcosmicorigin.com, and secure your spot. All my classes $100. You can't beat that. So that way, I will see you guys in 3 weeks on a live webinar. I'm looking for good questions. Um, I'm also reading the chat. Sometimes I just like to read what you guys are saying to each other. It's very interesting. You guys are all very intelligent. Oh, you will know. Marjorie Cadet is asking me, Ishmael, how will we all know if we're either in the fourth D Earth or fifth D Earth? If you're in the fourth D Earth, you're only going to live for 200 years, 300 years at the most. You're not going to have any superpowers or abilities, or ascended abilities, as they call it. If you're in the fifth D Earth, your capabilities are going to be divine. All right. You're going to have amazing abilities. So that's how you're going to know for sure. Again, CR Chios is asking me to describe the 3 days of darkness. I actually did about 20 minutes ago during one of the first answers. It's just depending on in which way our solar system emerges fully in the photon belt. That will determine the 3 days of darkness or 3 days of pure light. What is the advantage of having the Earth spin in the opposite direction? Good question. It's the way energy works. So what the dark Anunnaki did, the Luciferian Anunnaki, is the way that they hijack the electromagnetic field in the grid system of the Earth, right? By inserting a holographic, you could say, illusionary reality, to trap us into a lower, you could say, vibrational frequency. It had to actually reverse the spinning of the Earth. Okay, so that's how the Anunnaki were able to trap those heightened conscious humans that existed during those days, right, in Atlantean times, into lower vibrational levels of reality. So that's how the reason why they were able to flip the rotation of the Earth. But now it's going to be flipping back to the way God originally intended it, which is going to allow the Earth to exist in multiple electromagnetic fields of light all at the same time, or exist within multiple bands of electromagnetic fields. Thank you, Starcadian, for putting up the Folium link again, guys. This Folium link here, this product is amazing. I didn't even show it to you guys. Look at that. This is what we call future medicine. The future of, for what I mean. I did get another super chat from Jackie Baby, who's in the house. Thank you, Jackie Baby. She says, Ishmael, she says, thank you, Ishmael, first, for great information tonight. Can you ask Valiant Thor about his real channels that he is on, since you speak to him and I don't? All right. Yeah, I could ask him. But again, I don't know who that Valiant Thor is on X, but what I do know is that sometimes extraterrestrials don't even bother using social media. But I will ask just in case. Did you turn off the air? Oh, okay. Yeah, I could sense the difference. There's more silence now. All right. So, are there aliens among us? This is a question from Roland Pierce. Yeah, they've always been around us. The human volunteer group known as the Star Seed Envoy program are all ETs and angels in human form. But yeah, actual ETs that are not in the Envoy program, they do exist among us. Yes, a lot of them are human-like. They look just like me and just like you. So all they do is they take off their spacesuits, they put on jeans and a white shirt, and they walk right through us in a mall, and we don't even know. Not through us, but they walk by us, and we think that they're human. They just put on our clothing. So yeah, a lot of extraterrestrials do that. So yes, they do live among us. Absolutely. Diana Evans has a good question. She says, "Hi Ishmael, will you share about crop circles? Who mainly is responsible for them, and why are they created? Are they messages from us or messages for us? Thank you. I so enjoy listening to your podcast." Okay, so the first part of your question, Diane, is they are made by higher intelligences, interdimensionals, extraterrestrials, whatever you want to call them. And yes, because they are geometric patterns, and this is one of the things that I explained in my Ascension 2.0 class, that geometry is used to generate the frequency that precipitates light into matter, right? That's how all things are held together. Everything has geometry behind it. So geometry is also used to activate certain light codes within our psyche, okay, or within our body, through, of course, the vibrational frequency that it exerts. So a lot of these geometrical patterns that have been discovered as crop circles are not only here to activate latent potentials and latent DNA, right? Because they're codes, but they're also here to bring forth a higher frequency vibration to the earth, right? Because these geometrical patterns are actually allowing for more infusion of photonic light energy, what we call fifth dimensional or 5D gamma energy, which we call fifth dimensional earth energy reality. And the other part of your question is, where is it at? Because I know you had two parts of the question. Okay. Yes, they're also messages for us, right? They do communicate with our pineal gland. Um, and what else? So yeah, there you go. The ETs are responsible for that. It's a way to uplift the consciousness of humanity. That's the best way to describe it. It's a way to uplift the consciousness of humanity. I'm sorry, guys. My nose is running. I don't even know why. I apologize for that. I am human. Here, let me go ahead and pause myself so you guys don't hear me sneeze. So you don't hear me blow my nose, not sneeze. All righty. Hi, Ishmael. Is there any truth to the notion that if you had a your wisdom teeth removed, you have no pineal gland connection or connection to source or 5D? This is a question from Nathan Bushi, and I've heard that. I have read somewhere in the vast, you know, just in the vast knowledge of all these books that I read, I did read somewhere that taking your wisdom tooth is not good because through a nerve, it actually helps to connect with the pineal gland, and when those nerves connect, it allows for the pineal gland to be, eventually activated. So you could say that your wisdom tooth is kind of like a metaphor to Samson's hair. You cut off Samson's hair, and he loses his strength. So you take out your wisdom tooth, and of course it completely shuts down your pineal gland. I did read that somewhere, guys. I hope that's not the case because I know of several people that have actually removed their wisdom tooth. Okay, so I wouldn't recommend doing that, guys. If your dentist tell you that you have to remove your wisdom teeth, just ignore him. It's BS. That's not true. Okay, it's all designed. It's all by design to keep you unconnected with your pineal gland, and that is true. Ishmael, what dimensions are humanitarian projects on? This is a question from Patricia Sesha. Patricia Sesha. Well, humanitarian projects are actually existing on every level of reality. So in the fourth dimensional Earth, it's going to be a Star Trek type of civilization as we go into what is known as planetary and stellar, right? With technologies of light, clean energy, all of that, right? And then in the fifth dimensional level of reality, the building structures are more crystalline. In essence, they're more crystalline in nature, and so things there in the fifth dimensional, fifth reality are still physical, but it's going to be more like where the people that ascend to the fifth dimensional reality are going to be also using what is known as the original organic technology, which is the internal technology, right? And then the people that go into the sixth dimensional level of reality, well, their reality is going to be a little bit more subtle, all right, a little bit more subtle and refined than the 4D or the 5D, still physical, but those are going to be perfect, like beings are going to just look extremely perfect, right? So yeah, that's just to give you guys a little description of that. I guess we have time for about two more questions. Yeah, the beings in the sixth dimension and above, they look like they're huge. First of all, they're tall. They're about 10, 12 feet tall, and they have perfect bodies, and they have the ability to transform their physical body at will to pure energy, at will, right, and travel at the speed of light. And that's how they traverse the cosmos. That's how they go from planet to planet, dimension to dimension, so on and so forth.
Hey babe, can I say something?
Sure.
So after looking at what the Jedis were saying in the chat, they do want to see in my YouTube channel several of my past playlists of like UFOs, intel, ascension info. So I said that I'd make it from private to public. So just go to Monica and Kanagowski and look up all the hundreds of thousands of videos I've saved in playlists for years.
All right. So for those that are interested rather in the videos that were accumulated by Monica, a playlist of videos regarding documentaries about UFOs, actual craft footage. She does have a YouTube channel that she just made public. She switched it from private to public. So if you guys go to What's the name of your YouTube channel? Okay, she's going to put it in the chat. It's called Monica Kanagoski. So she's going to go ahead and put her channel. There's a lot of footage there. Okay, there's a lot of footage because I know a lot of times people say, "Where is the evidence? Where is the evidence?" Well, the government does hide the evidence. That's for sure. All right, one more question, guys. We are about at the end of an hour and 30 minutes. So one more question. If you had your wisdom teeth removed, you could actually, through meditation, you could bypass that nerve and reactivate your pineal gland. Okay. The more you meditate, the more you're going to be able to activate your pineal gland. All right. One more question. Who will this be? One more question. Hmm. I'm looking for. Sometimes people just ask me the same question. It's okay. Let's see. I'm looking for a question I haven't answered yet. Will the shift into a higher dimension solve the loneliness problem? Many have no spouse, etc. Well, it is believed that as we ascend into the higher fifth dimensional Earth, you will be reunited with your true counterpart, which is everybody has what is known as a twin flame. All right, guys. Well, may the God force be with you guys all. You guys could help my channel grow if you guys share this video with as many people as possible. And again, don't forget to sign up for my classes. They are up for grab. Go to my website or cosmicorigin.com and secure your spot so I could see you in 3 weeks on a webinar. May the God force be with you. And we'll see you guys in a couple days for another update.